Ethan Ward liked quiet mornings. He woke before the city. He made coffee that he never finished. He stood by the tall window of his penthouse and watched the lights fade as the sky turned gray. He told himself that he enjoyed the silence. He had earned it. He was the founder and CEO of a tech company that made learning tools for schools. He gave jobs to thousands of people. He gave grants to programs that helped children read and code. He kept a schedule, kept his promises, and kept his distance. His apartment looked perfect, like a hotel that never changed. The glass table had no fingerprints. The couch had no dents. The bookshelf held awards and a row of untouched novels. In the kitchen, a bowl of oranges sat on the counter, always full because he hardly ate at home. He lived high above the streets, but he knew the map below by heart. He had grown up in a smaller place, in an old neighborhood with cracked sidewalks and warm neighbors who called each other by name. He wanted to help that place without going there too often. He told himself that money was the better visitor. That rainy evening, he finished a long video call with his global team. He closed his laptop and rubbed his eyes. The rain tapped the windows like someone asking to come in. He checked his calendar. The community center in his old neighborhood was expecting a donation of laptops the next day. A driver would deliver them. The center had asked if he could come by for a short visit sometime this month. He loved the center. He funded their homework program and their tiny library, but he usually sent other people to visit. He was busy. He told himself he was better at building the tools than shaking hands. He stared at the rain. He did not want another quiet night in a perfect room. On a sudden impulse, he called his assistant and said he would drop off the laptops himself. He would go now. "It's raining," his assistant said. "I know," he replied. "That helps." The driver brought the car around. Ethan put on a simple jacket and a cap with no logo. He took the elevator down and stepped into the wet city. The car moved through streets that held pieces of his past, an old bakery, a park where kids played soccer, a corner store with a squeaky door. The wipers swept rain left and right like a metronome. He asked the driver to stop 1 block early. He wanted to walk the last bit. He carried a small box with 2 of the new laptops, just for show, while the main shipment was already in the center's office. The sidewalk glowed under the streetlights. Puddles held shaky copies of neon signs. He could hear music and laughter before he saw the building. The community center looked friendly, like a big living room that welcomed everyone. Yellow light spilled from its windows. Posters on the door said, "After-school tutoring" and "Family dance night next week." Inside, the air was warm and full of motion. A teen group stacked chairs after a homework session. A volunteer sorted books on a cart. The director, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a quick smile, came forward with open hands. "Mr. Ward," she said, "you made it through the rain." He set down the small box. "I wanted to see the place in action," he said, "and I like the rain." She laughed and introduced herself as Ms. Alvarez. "Your donation arrived this afternoon. The kids cheered like it was a holiday," she said. "The new tools will help our reading lab." He followed her through the hallway. There were drawings on the walls, rockets, sunflowers, and a big mural that showed many hands lifting a bright blue heart. "This looks new," he said. "Painted last month," she replied. "We let the kids choose the colors." He nodded and tried to look normal, not like a man who had poured money into this place from far away. A boy rushed past with a chessboard, then doubled back when he saw the laptops. "Are those the ones we get to use?" the boy asked. "They look fast." Ethan smiled. "They are fast," he said. "Faster than the ones you have now." The boy nodded with approval and ran off again. Near the front desk, a little girl stood on tiptoe and pressed her nose to the glass while watching the rain. She held a hand-drawn flyer with crayon stars and crooked letters. A woman stood a few feet behind her, talking quietly to a staff member and signing a form. The girl had big, curious eyes and an old-fashioned hair ribbon, that did not match the weather. Ethan would remember this ribbon later. He did not know why his attention caught on it, but it did. The girl turned and looked at him like a child who had decided something important. She walked over, holding the flyer with both hands. "Hi," she said, very clear and very brave. "Excuse me." She lifted the flyer. "Can you be my daddy for one night?" Everything inside him stopped. The hallway sounds grew small, like distant radio. In that instant, he did not see the hallway or the rain. He saw a pair of bright eyes that matched a memory he carried everywhere and never shared. The girl's round face and tiny chin looked like a face from an old photo that sat inside a small box in his closet. He had never planned to meet eyes like this again. He had built a quiet life to avoid this exact kind of moment. He forgot to breathe and then remembered again. He knelt a little to be at her height. He did not touch her. He only listened. "What do you mean?" he asked softly, as if any sudden noise would break something gentle. Before the girl could speak, the woman who had been signing papers hurried over. "I am so sorry," she said, hands up, embarrassed but calm. "I should have stepped over sooner. I'm her mom. My name is Maya. We are not asking for anything private or personal. The school is having a dad and daughter night next week. It's a dance and a photo booth and snacks. Some families ask a grandpa or an uncle or a family friend to go. We do not have that person. We are asking the center if they know a trusted volunteer with permission to be a stand-in. That is all." The little girl nodded, taking her mother's. Words like stepping stones across a stream. "It's just for one night," she said. "There are teachers everywhere. There are cupcakes. We get a picture. I want to go so my name gets called when they say, 'Dads, please spin your daughters.'" She looked up again with a serious face, as if she had practiced this speech in a mirror. "I'm Lena. That's my mom, Maya." Ms. Alvarez placed a hand over her chest. "We were going to ask you about this later, Mr. Ward," she said. "We have forms. We have rules. We never do anything without staff present and school permission. We do have stand-in volunteers sometimes for kids who need a caring adult to attend a public event with them. It is supervised the whole time. No car rides, no private meetings. We keep it simple and safe." She met his eyes with clear respect, not pressure. "You do not have to say yes. We will find someone. Please know we would never put you on the spot." Ethan tried to answer, but his voice did not arrive. He looked at Lena again, and in that look, he felt two currents at once. One current was real and present. A child asking for a simple favor for a school night, a girl who wanted to stand on the gym floor with everyone else when the music started. The other current was old and deep, his private memories of short hospital hallways and a tiny pair of dance shoes that never got their second recital. The two currents met in his chest and made a wave so strong that he had to find his balance. He stood and took a small step back. "May I have a minute?" he asked. Ms. Alvarez guided him to a quieter corner where the mural's blue heart seemed to glow a little under the ceiling lights. He pretended to study the paint while he let his feelings settle into words he could use. He heard the center's life continue around him. Laughter from the game room, a burst of clapping as someone solved a math problem. The door opening and closing with its small bell sound. The rain kept its rhythm outside. Slowly, his breathing steadied. He returned to Lena and Maya with a gentle smile that he had to try twice before it stayed on his face. "Thank you for asking me," he said to Lena. "That was very brave." He looked at Maya and Ms. Alvarez. "Thank you for explaining. I need to check my schedule and make sure I can follow every rule. I will not say yes or no right now. But I will give you an answer very soon." He turned back to Lena. "Can you tell me about the night? What is your favorite part?" Lena lit up. She described the gym decorated with paper stars. She described teachers wearing sashes that said, Chaperone. She described the photo booth with paper crowns and cardboard glasses on sticks. I want the crown, she said, because my name means light, and the crown looks like a little sunrise. She held up her flyer. It had the date and time written in careful crayon. She had drawn 2 stick figures, one tall and one small, holding hands under a banner of stars. He looked at the drawing. His throat tightened, but he kept his smile easy. The crown is a good choice, he said. I like the sunrise idea. She reached into a small pouch and pulled out a sticker, a shiny circle with a smiley face. This is for you, she said, and placed it on the corner of the laptop box as if it were a medal. For the fast computers. He laughed softly. That is perfect. Thank you. Ms. Alvarez used the moment to add details. If you are considering this, we will handle everything with the school, she said. Background check, permission, staff presence the whole time. Another option is that one of our regular volunteers can do it. We know many good people. Please feel no pressure. Maya nodded. We asked because Lena wanted to ask, she said. We are grateful for anyone who can stand in. We want the night to be simple, safe, and happy. That is all. Ethan listened. He felt the weight of choice and the lightness of the folder on the glass table sat like a gentle invitation. Ethan stood over it for a long time, the way someone stands over a pool before the first swim of the season. He made tea and did not drink it. He washed the same cup twice. Finally, he picked up the folder, walked to his desk, and opened it with careful hands. The top page was the community center policy, background checks, supervision, school permission, no one-on-one time, and no transportation. The list felt solid and kind, like a short fence that keeps a garden safe. He read everything twice. Then he reached for his phone. He called Ms. Alvarez first. She answered on the second ring with her usual warmth. Mr. Ward? Thank you for visiting tonight. Did you get home dry? He said he did, and then he spoke slowly so he would not rush past the important parts. I want to consider being a stand-in for the school dance, he said, but only if every rule is followed and only if Lena and Maya are comfortable. Ms. Alvarez sounded relieved. That's exactly how we do it, she said. We take great care. I can email you the school's own policy and the permission forms. If you like, we can also set a daytime meeting at the center with staff present so everyone can talk through the details. That would help, he said. Daytime, open space, and clear steps. She offered tomorrow at 3 p.m. in the reading room. He agreed and wrote it on a sticky note, then placed the sticky note on his laptop like a promise he could not miss. When the call ended, he opened the second part of the folder, the school flyer for dad and daughter night. It showed a gym with paper stars and a simple schedule. Sign-in, welcome, short dance, photo booth, refreshments. He traced the time slot with his finger. It was early evening on a weekday. He checked his calendar and saw a board call that overlapped by 30 minutes. He stared at the screen and felt the old reflex to keep work first. Then he took a breath and hit the keys to move the call. He wrote a clear reason. Personal community commitment. Will join later with notes. The world did not end. The reschedule went through. He felt a small lift in his chest, as if a knot had loosened. He reached for another phone number, the company's legal counsel. I need 10 minutes, he said. Not to ask permission, but to make sure I am aligned with best practices. He explained the request simply, focusing on safety and boundaries. The counsel, a calm person who liked checklists, listened thoughtfully. You're on the right path, she said. Ask for a written plan from the center. Who signs you in, where you'll be at all times, who takes photos, who brings and takes the child home, and who is your contact if you need help. Keep everything public with staff around. Also, decide what you'll say if another parent asks you who you are. A simple answer works. I'm a community center volunteer standing in tonight with the school's permission. No details beyond that. He thanked her and wrote each point down, one under the other, until the list felt steady in his hands. Then he called the PR head, because he understood that public attention could knock a good idea off balance. I plan to be a stand-in for DOE, a school event, he said. It is supervised and simple. I do not want any spotlight. What is the wisest way to keep it small? The PR head smiled through the phone. He could hear it. Go as yourself, quietly, and follow the schools. Lead, she said. If someone recognizes you and asks for a quote, keep it short and kind. I'm here to support a child through the community center's program. The night belongs to the kids. No posts, no photos shared by us. If anything appears online, we do not boost it. We keep the focus where it should be. Ethan agreed. He liked plain sentences that acted like guardrails. After the calls, he walked to his closet and took down the small box he had not opened in a long time. He set it on the bed and waited. He did not want to surprise his own heart. He lifted the lid and looked at the tiny dance shoes and the old hospital photo. He let the memory move through him like a soft wave. He was not trying to be brave or strong. He was just trying to be honest. I am saying yes to one kind thing, he whispered, as if the room needed to hear it. He placed the lid back on and put the box away. He felt a quiet agreement inside himself, as if the past and the present had nodded to each other with respect. The next day, the sky was clear. He arrived at the community center early and sat on a bench outside, watching a delivery truck drop off cases of water. Kids in backpacks walked by, laughing about a joke he could not hear. At 3 p.m., he went inside. The reading room was bright, with sunlight slipping across the tables. Ms. Alvarez waved him over. Lena and her mother, Maya, were already there, seated near the window. A staff member stood a few steps away, friendly and observant. Thank you for meeting in the daytime, Ethan said. He took the chair across from them and placed his hands on the table so everyone could see he was calm and open. Lena greeted him with the same brave clarity as before. Hi, she said. I drew a new crown. She held up a small notebook with a crown sketch that had 5 points and a tiny heart in the middle point. It looks like a sunrise, she said again, more pleased this time. He smiled. It does, he said. It's perfect. Maya spoke in a steady voice. Thank you for considering this, she said. We want to talk about rules so the night is simple and safe. Ethan nodded. Yes, he said. Rules help me help you. He pulled out his list. Can I share what I understand, and you can tell me if it matches? They agreed. He went point by point. The school would sign everyone in. Staff would be present the entire time. No private meetings, no leaving the gym area. Maya would bring Lena and take her home. Photos would be taken only in the public photo booth. If either Lena or Ethan felt overwhelmed, they would take a break in a supervised corner and decide whether to continue. He added one more small request. If someone asks who I am, he said, I will answer that I'm a community center. Volunteer standing in with permission. Is that okay? Maya nodded. That is good, she said. We want the attention to be on the children. Ms. Alvarez placed a clear folder on the table. Here are the permission forms, the school's contact and the plan, she said. We also did your background check this morning with your consent form from last night. You are cleared. Ethan felt the last piece click into place. He looked at Lena. Would you like me to be your stand-in for dad and daughter night? He asked. He kept his voice soft, serious, and kind. Lena's answer was immediate. Yes, she said, with a small hop in her seat that made the ribbon in her hair bounce. Maya smiled with relief. Thank you, she said. We will be grateful to you forever. He shook his head gently. You owe me nothing, he said. This is a good night to share. They set a simple plan for the evening. Ethan would arrive 10 minutes early and sign in with the principal. He would meet Lena and Maya at the entrance to the gym. They would do one photo booth picture at the start while everyone was fresh. Then they would join the short dance. "I am not very good at dancing," he admitted with a small grin. "That is okay," Lena said. "You can step on the beat, and I will do the turns." Her confidence made the whole table laugh. On his way out, Ethan stopped by the multi-purpose room and watched a few minutes of the after-school dance class that the center held on Wednesdays. A young instructor was teaching a simple two-step. Ethan stood in the doorway, mirroring the steps with a shy focus, heel-toe, turn, smile. The instructor noticed and gave him a thumbs up without stopping the lesson. It felt good to learn something new in a room full of kids. He thought about scheduling a private lesson, then decided to practice at home instead. He wanted the night to feel normal, not polished. Back at his office, he called a short meeting with his small circle, HR, legal, PR, and his executive assistant. He explained the plan in 2 minutes and shared the documents. "No media," he said. "No brand. I am going as a community volunteer, with everything supervised." HR offered to create a simple volunteer guide for any other employees who wanted to support the center in the future. "That's for another day," he said kindly. "For now, let's keep this quiet and careful." The room understood. They were used to big announcements. It was good to see them handle a small one with the same respect. In the evening, he moved his coffee table aside and opened a dance video on his TV. A cheerful instructor counted steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ethan followed the pattern around his living room, shoes whispering on the floor. He practiced holding an imaginary child's hand at a respectful height. He practiced a gentle turn. He smiled at the empty room to test how it felt on his face. The smile came easily this time, not like a mask, but like a light turned on low. He rested when he felt dizzy and laughed at himself. He was a man who could manage a company on 3 continents, and here he was, working hard to learn a two-step. It was humbling in the best way. The next day, he visited a small shop that sold simple ties. The clerk showed him one with tiny stars woven into the fabric. "It's subtle," she said. "You can only see the stars when the light hits just right." He thought of the paper stars that would hang in the gym and bought the tie. He chose a plain suit and comfortable shoes that would not slip. He also picked up a small, tasteful card that said, "Thank you," on the front. He planned to give it to the school principal at the end of the night because good work grows when people feel seen. As the event drew closer, he received a short email from the principal. A welcome, thought for 22s, Ethan reached the school early and stood for a moment under the arch of paper stars taped above the entrance. The late sun softened the brick walls. A volunteer held the door and smiled. Inside, the hallway was bright and busy. A sign on a music stand read, "Welcome to Dad and Daughter Night." Next to it, a table held name tags, pens, and small wristbands for guests. The wristbands were light blue with tiny stars printed along the band, like the night sky seen through a window. He went to the sign-in table first. "Good evening," he said. "I'm here as a stand-in through the community center with permission." The volunteer, Mr. Kelly, checked a list, found Ethan's name, and handed him a guest badge and the blue wristband. "Thanks for being here," he said quietly. "We appreciate the support." The principal, Ms. Chen, came forward with a warm handshake. "Welcome," she said. "We keep this night joyful and simple. If you need anything, find me or any staff member in a sash." She gestured to the chaperones wearing soft blue sashes with the word staff stitched in white. The clear structure calmed him. He thanked her and stepped aside. Maya and Lena arrived a few minutes later. Lena wore a simple dress with tiny stars along the hem and clean sneakers that said she liked to move more than pose. The ribbon in her hair sat slightly crooked, and it made her look like herself. She waved with both hands when she saw him. "Hi," she said. "I brought something." She opened her palm to show 2 paper bracelets she had made from silver wrapping scraps. "One for you, one for me," she said. "They match the stars." He accepted the bracelet with a smile. "Thank you," he said. "May I wear it next to this wristband?" She nodded in a very official way, as if she were the rule keeper for paper jewelry. At the gym doors, a staff member stamped their hands with a small star. The gym was transformed. Strings of paper stars hung from basketball hoops. A banner read, "Tonight, we celebrate time together." In one corner, a photo booth stood ready with a simple backdrop, 2 paper crowns, and a basket of silly glasses on sticks. A table held water, apple slices, and cupcakes with white frosting and 1 silver sprinkle on top. Music hummed low while families found their places on the floor. A few parents recognized Ethan and did a double take. One father whispered to another. A mother tilted her head as if searching her memory. Ethan felt the old pressure rise, the one that made him want to step back into a quiet room and close the door. But he had a simple line prepared, and he trusted it. When a parent approached with a curious smile and asked, "Aren't you?" he answered gently, "I'm here as a community center volunteer standing in with the school's permission. Tonight belongs to the kids." The parent nodded. "Of course," she said. "It's a good thing." She looked at Lena. "Have a great time, sweetheart." The attention passed like a small wave, and then settled. They went to the photo booth first, just as they had planned at the meeting. The staff photographer, Ms. Diaz, greeted them. "Would you like the crowns?" she asked Lena. "Yes, please," Lena said. She gave 1 crown to Ethan with a small laugh, like she knew he might be shy about it. He balanced the crown on his head at a careful angle. "How do I look?" he asked. "Like a sunrise," she said, and he laughed because the answer was exactly right for tonight. Ms. Diaz framed the picture with easy skill. "Stand side by side, hands visible, big smiles," she said. They did. The camera clicked and chimed. She printed 2 copies. "One for you, one for your mom," she said to Lena. She also offered to hold a digital copy for the school album, not public, just for families. Ethan liked that. A photo that lived in a quiet folder felt respectful. The music grew a little louder as more families arrived. The first song was slow and cheerful. The gym floor shifted with pairs finding a rhythm. Ethan looked down at Lena. "Do we start?" he asked. "We can stand near the wall until you're ready." She took his hand at the proper height. Neither too tight nor too loose, the way they had agreed in the daytime meeting. "We can stand," she said. "Then we will step." She watched the other dancers, the way a child watches a pond to learn where the stones are. After a few bars, she moved forward a small step. He followed. They tried the 2-step he had practiced in his living room. Heel toe, turn. He exaggerated 1 funny misstep on purpose and widened his eyes as if surprised by his own feet. She burst into a laugh that sounded like wind chimes. "You did that on purpose," she said. "Absolutely," he replied. "Humor is my secret move." A chaperone, Ms. Patel, approached with a soft smile. "I can teach a tiny spin," she said, speaking to Lena. "Only if you want." Lena nodded. Ms. Patel showed her how to turn, with her own arm guiding the motion while Ethan stepped back half a step to give space. "Perfect," Ms. Patel said after 1 try. "Remember, you lead your own spin." That sentence settled on the air like a blessing. They tried it with the music. Lena spun once, neatly, then looked up to check his face. He made a big, impressed wow shape with his mouth. She giggled and tried again. A small moment of struggle. Arrived the way small storms arrive, sudden and honest. The song changed to a louder track. A few phones lifted high in the air. 2 people stepped a bit closer than felt right, holding their cameras toward Ethan and Lena. He felt a tug inside. Not fear, but concern that the night could tip away from the child. He looked for the nearest sash and raised his hand slightly. Ms. Chen saw and came over. "Let's keep personal photos to your own families, please," she said kindly to the group. No edge in her voice, just a calm redirect learned from many school nights. The phones dropped without fuss. The music went down a notch. Ms. Chen added, "There's a quiet corner if you need a breather." Ethan nodded. "Thank you," he said. He looked at Lena. "Want a water break?" She looked at the cupcake table and then at him. "Water first," she said, making a responsible face. They walked together to the table, staying inside the soft circle of staff supervision. At the table, he poured water into 2 small cups. "One for you," he said. "One for me." A custodian, Mr. Romero, adjusted the stack of napkins and gave them a thumbs up. "Nice steps out there," he said. Ethan smiled. "We are learning." Lena picked up an apple slice and nodded toward the gym. "My friend Sarah is here with her grandpa," she said. "He has good shoes." Ethan looked. The grandpa had shoes made for dancing, soft and steady. "Maybe that's his secret move," Ethan said. "Shoe power." Lena laughed again and took a second apple slice. They went back to the floor for the second set of songs. The gym lights stayed bright enough to feel safe, but soft enough to feel like a celebration. They tried a simple box step. He focused on the count and on Lena's cues, not on his own thoughts. Still, there was a moment when the air shifted and a memory rose. A small hand in a hospital hallway, a plan that never happened. The feeling was strong, like a quick wind. He tightened the grip on his handkerchief inside his pocket and breathed. In for 4 counts, out for 4. He had practiced this, too. Lena noticed his pause. "Are you okay?" she asked, direct and kind. "Yes," he said honestly. "I am happy and a little full of feelings. Thank you for asking." She nodded in a grown-up way that told him she understood feelings that are more than one thing at once. They moved to the quiet corner for a minute, just to watch. A teacher crouched near a speaker, turning the volume to a gentler level. A staff member fixed a paper star that had slipped from the banner. The room looked like care in motion. Many small actions keeping the night kind. A boy from the community center reading lab, the one who loved chess, waved at Ethan from across the gym. He lifted his chin as a hello and then went back to his own dance with his mom. It felt nice to be recognized as a normal person in a normal place. When they returned to the floor, the DJ announced a fun prompt. "If you want, show your partner a move you like." Lena thought for a second, and then showed a tiny hop step she called the Comet. It had a dash and a trail. He practiced it until he got the trail right. "Perfect," she said, proud. "Your Comet has a long tail." He thanked her like a student thanks a teacher, because that is exactly what he was at that moment. After another song, they visited the photo booth again. "Second photo, same crowns?" Ms. Diaz asked. "Yes," Lena said, "but this time we make a comet face." The comet face, she explained, was wide eyes and a small O mouth, like a star surprised by its own speed. They did it, the camera clicked, and the magic of the night settled into the small white frame. Ms. Diaz offered to write the date on the bottom. "Please," Ethan said. She wrote the date and a little star. They took the prints and thanked her. At snack time, Ethan checked with Maya. "Cupcake okay?" he asked. "Yes," Maya said. 1 cupcake and 2 apple slices. Lena chose a cupcake with a single silver sprinkle and held a napkin under it like a pro. Frosting touched the tip of her nose. He chose a cupcake too and pretended to make a very careful plan for the first bite, like a scientist. "Hypothesis," he said in a playful tone. "The sprinkle is the best part." She narrowed her eyes and took a bite. "Evidence supports," she replied, mouth small and careful. He laughed. It was a simple, bright laugh he had not heard from himself in a long time. Near the end of the evening, the principal gathered everyone for a short thank you. "Tonight is about presence," Ms. Chen said. "It's about showing up for each other with care. Thank you to all families, to our staff, and to the community center." The morning after the dance, Ethan woke before the sun. The photos from the school sat on his table, the paper crowns slightly bent from happy hands. He made coffee and watched the city open its eyes. He felt quiet, not empty, quiet like a room, after music where the good echo still lives in the air. He took a pen and a small card and wrote a sentence that surprised him with how simple it was. "Show up, safely, again." He put the card in his pocket and went to work early. At the office, he asked his assistant to gather a small team in the conference room: HR, legal, PR, community partnerships, and operations. He arrived with no slideshow. He stood at the end of the table and spoke in plain words. "Last night, I was a stand-in for a school event," he said. "It was supervised, kind, and small, exactly as it should be. I want to build a simple, safe program so more children can have that option. It must be strong on rules, easy to run, and not about us. I'm calling it Stand In for One Night." He placed a single sheet of paper on the table. It had 8 short lines. Everyone signs in. Staff are present at all times. No private meetings, no car rides, no personal photos or posts. Child sets the pace, adult follows. Clear exit if anyone feels overwhelmed. Thank the school, keep it small. HR nodded first. "We can recruit volunteers and run background checks," she said. "We can also build a short training, child safety basics, how to be supportive, how to step back." Legal added, "We'll draft a 1-page agreement for volunteers so they understand the boundaries. We'll add a school sign-off page, fewer forms if possible, but clear enough that no one is confused." PR said, "We will not brand this. No logos, no posts. If media asks, we say, 'This is about kids and community centers. Please talk to the school district.'" Operations said, "We can make the process smooth. A single email box, a tiny website with a calendar, and a phone line." Ethan listened and drew a small box on the whiteboard. Inside the box, he wrote, "Small plus safe plus repeatable." He drew arrows in and out. "Everything we do must fit inside this box," he said. "If it doesn't fit, we don't do it." He looked around the table. "I also want feedback from the people who live this work every day." He called Ms. Alvarez at the community center and Ms. Chen at the school and invited them to a working session that afternoon. Both said yes. By noon, they were in a bright meeting room with a long table, a tray of water, and a box of markers. Ms. Alvarez arrived with folders. Ms. Chen arrived with a practical smile and a lanyard that said Principal. Maya joined, too, at Ethan's request, because parents see details that plans often miss. "You want the truth?" she asked when she sat down. "Yes," Ethan said. "Only the truth." They started with a map of the night: arrival, sign-in, photo booth, short dances, water break, exit. Ms. Chen used a marker to circle arrival. "We need a clear point person," she said. "One adult in a sash at the door to welcome stand-ins and check the list. That sets the tone." Ms. Alvarez added a note at dance. "Volume can be too high. A gentle level helps shy kids." Maya circled photo. "We loved the booth because it was public and supervised," she said. "But some kids want no photos. We should have a no photos sticker they can put on their name tag so no one keeps asking." Ethan nodded and wrote "no photo sticker" on the board in big letters. "Simple and strong," he said. He shared the 8 rules and the short idea for volunteer training. Ms. Chen suggested a practice night. "Let the first group of volunteers come to the gym when it's empty," she said. "Walk the route. Role play a no and a yes. Practice how to refuse a selfie kindly. Practicing kindness makes it easier in the moment." Maya offered another parent view. Tell volunteers what to do with their hands, she said gently. It sounds small, but clear guidance helps. Hands visible, hand height. Where to stand. You already did this well last night. Write it down. They built a checklist that felt like a kind teacher's voice. Hands visible. Stand side by side for photos. Keep a calm face if a child is nervous. Ask, don't assume. Step back if a staff member needs space. They added a line that everyone liked so much they read it twice. You are here to stand beside, not to stand out. In the afternoon, Ethan walked them through a draft budget. It was modest and practical. Background checks, training sessions, a few standing banners with gentle reminders, paper wristbands, a small stipend for extra school staff hours, and a part-time coordinator at the community center. He added a line. For improvements at the center, brighter exterior lights, a better bookshelf for the reading lab, and a weekend dance class where kids could bring any caring adult, grandparent, aunt, neighbor, foster parent, coach. No one should feel left out because of a word on a poster, he said. Ms. Alvarez smiled. Words should open doors, she said, not close them. They chose 2 pilot schools and set dates. Ms. Chen volunteered her school as the first site. Another principal, Mr. Jordan from a nearby elementary, agreed to be the second. The plan was careful. 10 volunteers per night, each matched with a child through the center, a school staff member assigned to each pair as a quiet helper, a clear sign-in and sign-out sheet, a calm corner if anyone needed a break, and a post-event debrief that was short and useful. Recruitment opened the next week. HR wrote a simple message. We're looking for people who can show up, follow rules, and keep the spotlight on a child's joy. You will not drive anyone. You will not meet anyone privately. You will be trained, supervised, and thanked. The response surprised everyone. Employees signed up. Retirees from the neighborhood called the center. A local college offered a few education majors. A retired bus driver named Mr. Lewis walked in with a cap in hand and said, I know how to be on time and follow a list. Put me in the corner where the shy kids wait. I can talk about buses until the music feels safe. He was perfect. Training day felt like the best kind of rehearsal. The gym was empty except for a circle of chairs, a rack of paper stars, and a table with wristbands. Ms. Chen and Ms. Alvarez led the session. Welcome to stand in for one night, Ms. Chen said. Thank you for choosing to be boring in exactly the right way. Everyone laughed. She held up the 8 rules. This is the heart, she said. Learn it like a song. They role-played. The selfie refusal. They practiced the calm smile and the line. Thanks, but no personal photos tonight. The night belongs to the kids. They tried the overwhelmed moment. A staff member played the child. A volunteer practiced saying, would you like water or would you like to sit in the quiet corner? Everyone could see how simple. Tools turn into kindness when used at the right time. Ethan watched from a folding chair and took notes. At the end, he stood and spoke for 1 minute. He did not tell a personal story. He kept it about the work. This program is small on purpose, he said. We measure success in smiles and steady steps. We have a motto on the checklist that I love. Stand beside, not stand out. If you remember one thing, remember that. Then he sat down again. It was not a speech. It was a thank you. The first pilot night at Ms. Chen's school looked like calm light. 10 volunteers arrived early, signed in, put on wristbands, and checked their name tags. Each met a child and a parent or guardian at the gym doors. The pairs took 1 supervised photo, some with crowns, some with no props at all. Mr. Lewis stood near the quiet corner and talked softly about bus routes to 2 boys who did not like loud songs. A staff member adjusted the volume without being asked. A teacher fixed a slipping paper star with a piece of tape she kept on her finger like a ring. It was ordinary magic. small hands doing the right thing at the right time. Ethan walked the edges, checking for tiny snags, a sign that needed moving, a table that needed napkins, a door that needed a propped wedge. He kept a notepad in his pocket and wrote down the snags like a grocery list. At the end of the night, his list was short. More no-photo stickers, a second water station, and softer tape for crowns so hair would not catch. He loved how fixable it all was. After cleanup, they held a 5-minute debrief in the hallway. Each person got one sentence. A teacher said, "The wristbands made it easy to see who needed help." A volunteer said, "The quiet corner sign helped me explain to a child that breaks are normal." Maya, who had come to help set up, said, "Thank you for making the program about the kids without making them feel different." Ms. Chen said, "We kept it small. That was the win." They clapped once in a circle and went home. The second pilot at Mr. Jordan's school brought new lessons. The gym had a slippery spot. They placed a bright cone over it before the first song. The photo booth printer jammed once. They had extra pens so families could write the date and pick up their prints later. A mother cried quietly in the hallway, happy tears at seeing her son relaxed. A staff member stood beside her without words. Sometimes standing beside means nothing more than sharing the hallway air. Ethan quietly funded the center upgrades, brighter outdoor lights that felt welcoming, a reading lab shelf that rolled without squeaks, new chess sets with full sets of pieces, and a weekend dance class taught by the same instructor who had shown Ethan the two-step with a thumbs up. The class name made everyone smile. Bring your person. No one was left out by the title. On the first Saturday, a row of shoes lined the wall. Work boots, church shoes, sneakers with grass stains, and one pair of bright dance shoes that belonged to the girl. The season turned, and the paper stars in the school gyms changed colors, from silver to pale gold, from pale gold to soft blue. The stand-in for one-night program settled into the city like a gentle routine. People began to speak about it the way they speak about a good bus route or a library that opens on time. It was simply there when needed, steady and kind. Ethan returned to his regular work schedule, but the shape of his days felt different. He still started early and read long reports, but he also blocked small pockets of time that he labeled in his calendar with one word: present. Sometimes present meant walking to the community center with a bag of apples for the reading lab. Sometimes it meant watching 10 minutes of the Saturday dance class through the window and then leaving, before anyone could thank him. He liked the quiet way best. It made the work feel clean. The survey cards from the children came back in small stacks with wrinkled edges. Many had simple faces colored in. One card from a boy at Mr. Jordan's school showed the happy face, with bright green eyes and a note in block letters. Music not too loud. Good. Another card from a girl at Ms. Chen's school read, I liked when the adult let me lead my spin. There was also a drawing of a comet with a long tail. Ms. Alvarez saved that one in a folder labeled Keep. The program's tiny website added a third pilot school and then a fourth. The rules did not change. The words did not get bigger. The team returned to the same 8 lines again and again, like a favorite recipe that no one tries to improve because it already tastes right. The wristband stayed light blue with tiny stars. The no-photo stickers were simple and clear. The quiet corner sign was made of soft wood and a friendly font. These details were small to the eye but large to the night. Ethan saw with quiet pride how the work belonged to many hands now. Mr. Lewis, the retired bus driver, became famous in a very small way for his patient talks about routes and timing. A college student named Priya taught the box step to shy pairs with a warm voice and a steady count. A baker from the neighborhood dropped off a tray of plain cookies and asked not to be thanked out loud, which made the cookies taste better somehow. A school nurse made a game of water break so kids would drink before they grew tired. All of it looked like kindness wearing regular clothes. Media did notice because media notices things that work. A local paper wrote a short story that used words like measured and careful. There were no big photos, just a picture of a paper wristband and the words, "Stand beside, not stand out," printed below it. Another outlet asked for an interview with Ethan. He answered with the same sentence he had planned months before. "Thank you for your interest, but please speak with the school district and the community center. The night belongs to the kids." When a reporter pressed, he repeated the sentence and added, "We are happy to share the checklist," and then he sent the 8 lines without his name attached. It felt right. The school district noticed too. At a principals meeting, Ms. Chen and Mr. Jordan shared the pilot results in very ordinary slides: how many pairs came, how the rules worked, and what staff needed to make the night smooth. The SEI district agreed to adopt the model for any school that wanted it. They did not build a huge program. They kept it small and repeatable, just as the checklist asked. They added one helpful piece: a simple form that schools could use to request support from any local community center. The form took 5 minutes to fill. The approval took 2 days. It was boring in the best way: fast, clear, and fair. Other companies reached out to Ms. Alvarez with respectful questions. "Can we copy this?" they asked. She said yes, with guidelines. "Take the rules as they are, partner with your schools, and keep your brand quiet." A grocery chain offered volunteers who knew many families by name. A bank offered free background checks as an in-kind gift. A small clinic sent 2 social workers to help in the quiet corner on nights when feelings ran deep. The community center became a bridge, not a stage. That mattered. One evening, Ethan arrived at the center to find a small crowd gathered by the reading lab. The rolling shelf had been replaced with a new one that moved without squeaks. The chess sets gleamed. The lights outside were bright and kind, not harsh. A child pushed the shelf with joy just to hear the silence. "It doesn't make a noise," he said, delighted. Ms. Alvarez winked at Ethan from across the room. He lifted 2 fingers from his pocket in a tiny wave and then looked away, as if the improvements had arrived of their own free will. He also saw Maya and Lena often, but only in passing. Sometimes they were heading into dance class as he was heading out. Sometimes they were at the reading lab, where Lena chose books about the stars. On one Saturday, he stood by the door and watched Lena teach her friend the comet step. The friend's laugh rang out and made a few heads turn with joy. Maya met Ethan's eyes with a simple gratitude that did not demand or enlarge. The look said, "We are okay, thank you." He answered with a small nod that said, "I know." Keep going. Time added layers. A rainy evening brought a small test. A school gym had a leak, and a cluster of buckets sat under a slow drip. The principal almost canceled. Ms. Alvarez and Mr. Lewis walked the floor with towels, cones, and a steady pace. They roped off a tiny square of space and shifted the photo booth to the other side. Volunteers arrived early to help place the paper. Stars where the ceiling was dry. The night went on. Kids danced around the cones like obstacles in a game. Not a problem. A child wrote on a survey card, "I like the cones." The team laughed and put the card in the keep folder. Another night, a volunteer forgot the no personal photos rule and raised a phone out of habit. A staff member put a gentle hand near his elbow and quietly pointed to the sign. The volunteer lowered the phone and mouthed, "Sorry." Later, in the 5-minute debrief, he said, "I need to practice the line out loud." Everyone said it, together. "Thanks, but no personal photos tonight. The night belongs to the kids." Their voices rose and fell in one calm wave. It was good to practice kindness even after the lights turned off. Ethan kept adding gentle supports. He funded a small set of starter kits that could be shared with any school. A banner, a set of paper crowns with softer tape, a box of no photo stickers, a quiet corner sign, wristbands, and a laminated copy of the 8 rules. The kits lived on a rolling cart at the center. They went out and came back like library books. Each time, the cart returned with a new note taped on top. We moved the snack table closer to the water station, less spills. Or, kids loved. When staff announced, breaks are normal. The notes were small seeds that grew the next night stronger. One afternoon, Ethan received a letter in the mail with a hand-drawn star on the envelope. Inside was a simple message in Maya's neat handwriting. We wanted you to know that Lena kept her photo on her dresser for a month. Then she moved it to a scrapbook. She said, "This is from the night I was not left out. Thank you for making it possible. With gratitude, M and L." There was a second sheet with a drawing made by Lena, 2 crowns, one large and one small, with the word sunrise written in the corner. Ethan held the letter without moving for a long time. Then he slid it into the same folder where he kept the survey cards. He did not frame it. He did not share it. He kept it where quiet things go to stay safe. A year mark approached in a soft way. Ms. Chen invited the core team to the gym after school for a small thank you. There were no balloons. There was a plate of apple slices and plain cookies, and a few paper stars hung low across the wall. The people who came were the kind who do not mind stacking chairs before they eat. They laughed in an easy circle. Mr. Lewis told a story about a boy who wanted to learn every bus route number in the city. Priya demonstrated the box step one more time for a new volunteer. Ms. Diaz showed a tiny album of photo booth prints that families had allowed her to keep for the school's memory book. No faces, just hands holding crowns, wristbands with E. Stars, and a few comet faces drawn with marker. When someone asked Ethan to say a few words, he kept it to 3 sentences. "Thank you for showing up on time," he said. "Thank you for following every rule. Thank you for keeping it small." The small circle clapped once. The sound was perfect for the room. On his way out, Ethan stopped at the community center's bulletin board. A new flyer with simple lines announced a parent workshop. How to create nights that include everyone. The subheading read, "Bring your person." The bullet points were short. Volume, lighting, clear signs, wristbands, name tags, and language that opens doors. Maya was listed as a co-host. He smiled at her name and imagined her steady voice explaining how a no-photo sticker can save a child from 100 tiny asks. He imagined parents nodding, already planning the next kind step. Back at home, the city lights were gentle. He opened the small box in his closet and took out the tiny dance shoes. He did not feel knocked over by the sight the way he once did. The ache was there, but it did not spill. It rested beside a different feeling, something like peace, but a working kind of peace that liked clipboards and lists. He placed the shoes on the table and set the photo from Lena's night next to them. 2 crowns, 2 smiles, a date in the corner. He took a pen and wrote a note on a small card. He wrote, "I stood beside where love was needed. I followed the rules." That was enough. He placed the card in the box with the shoes and closed.